For us right here in this area, Pontiac, we talked to Bob Wan yesterday about Pontiac and a lot of the exciting projects that are going on there because it does seem Pontiac is one of the forgotten cities. Sits smack dab in one of the wealthiest counties, and yet here we are with a city that has not been thriving. And so there's a lot of excitement and a lot of things happening in the city of Pontiac to bring it back to its glory days. Pontiac used to be the really hip place to live back in the day. With that, though, we're excited to bring in a whole host of guests here on the MegaCast. We're talking about the new nonprofit in Pontiac. It's called Main Street Pontiac, and it really is geared towards trying to bring together separate entities and individuals to make that downtown area the cool place to be. And so with that, we have with us on the show today Vernita Duvall. She's the vice president for Main Street Pontiac. Daniela Walters, she's the treasurer and co-founder. Chris Jackson, president for Main Street Pontiac, and Jennifer Lucarelli, who is a representative for the Oakland County Sheriff, pal and friend of Main Street Pontiac. Great to have the four of you on with us.
Yeah, nice to be here this morning.
So I know it's a little awkward having multiple people in an interview, especially via Zoom. But we're all pros at this now. We'll figure it out as we go. And Chris, you're the president. So if we can start with you, tell us about Main Street Pontiac. What is the mission?
So the mission in Main Street, I guess we're still in our infant years, right? We've been around for about 2 years, going on 3 soon. And so the mission of Main Street Pontiac is to be advocates to the businesses in the downtown community. We aren't your traditional DBA or downtown business association, but where one of those don't exist in the city of Pontiac, we try to fill in those gaps. We work really closely with the city, with the businesses and the community to understand what the needs are. And we try really hard not to duplicate efforts. And so our mission is to really help other organizations that are doing things for downtown Pontiac and fill gaps where we can in order to have a vibrant downtown, because we believe that if the downtown is in good shape, it tends to be that the rest of the community follows. We just need to work really hard to figure out how to piece together the community side of it and the business side of it. And that's usually where we find ourselves in the middle of that.
So Vernita, if I can bring you into the conversation, you start this right before the pandemic, and then COVID-19 hits. Did it sideline your efforts at all?
Slightly, but the good thing is that we all, I think we all make a good team because we all come with different skills and talents, and so we were able to transition and get things back in order pretty quickly. And virtual was an asset. And we have a lot of avenues that we cover individually in different areas. And so I think it was just a matter of time before we all came in sync. So we had a hiccup initially, but it didn't take long for us to get back together.
We've all had hiccups throughout this pandemic. And, sometimes too with that, we have to, I try not to use the word pivot, but we've had to reimagine how we operate. And Daniela, as someone that's the treasurer and the co-founder, how have you had to do that over at Main Street Pontiac?
Yeah, our initial, when we started up we really started up in 2017, and our focus was more so on the buildings and the center and the community and people and being very interactive. And we found our place last year in actual COVID relief efforts. So we were able to help raise funds and distribute those funds to the restaurants. And then from the restaurants, they were able to provide meals to those in need in the community at the time they needed it most. So it was a win-win for Pontiac residents and Pontiac businesses having COVID relief efforts. We did a restaurant brigade program, a mini grant program, and we continued on with our efforts in Flagstar Bank's Pontiac's Big Idea grant program that we're partners in.
So with that, Jennifer, if I can ask you, how do you get the community excited about this project?
Well, I think that what we've learned from the pandemic is that people are really hungry for community and connection. They want to come together around really nice new innovative project ideas. They want to make friends and know their neighbors. And so the Skatepark Project is just another venue for that to be happening.
So tell me more about the Skatepark project then.
Yeah, so we're really excited that the city of Pontiac was the only community in the state of Michigan that was awarded a Skatepark Project matching grant opportunity. It's formerly known as the Tony Hawk Foundation, so they've rebranded themselves a little bit. And so we have up until November to raise $250,000 of matching funding in order to build a state-of-the-art skate park in the city of Pontiac.
How do you think you're going to raise that money?
Well, it's really interesting. The pandemic has changed a little bit of that, and it's definitely a multifaceted strategy. There's been a lot of grassroots efforts at raising money. There's been a lot of small local organizations that have been supporting it with several $1,000s. We'll be asking for some larger business and corporate sponsorships. We'll be doing crowdfunding because what we know is every dollar counts. If you can give $5 to help support this project, that really matters to us as a community. And I think that there's some really interesting funding opportunities that have come out of the pandemic. A lot of the American Relief Funding Act discussion has been around supporting parks and recreation. Governor Whitmer announced yesterday millions of dollars of additional funding for parks. So I have no doubt that we're going to be able to raise that $250,000 by November.
Yeah, and we know that the skate parks in Detroit are huge attraction sites. Even the one over on the east side by Conant, people come from all over to be able to enjoy the skate parks because you don't see them as often. Hey, Chris, if I can bring you back into the conversation, can I ask you the Phoenix Center and the latest developments with the Phoenix Center? We're seeing it be revisited and, a lot of excitement being built back into the Phoenix Center. How is that going to play into the strategy for downtown Pontiac and your mission?
Yeah, so it's really the Phoenix Center, the Ottawa Towers, right? It's really one of the bookends of our downtown, right? It's one of the most visible and notable locations in the city of Pontiac. So it's really important for us as deals have been completed now that we continue to try to execute on residential housing, on revamping the Phoenix Center to attempt to return it to whatever its former glory was. But I think it acts as a catalyst more than anything else. I think that because the opportunity for housing and events is coming with the Phoenix Center and the Ottawa Towers. I think what you'll see, including medical marijuana in downtown Pontiac, including more restaurants in downtown Pontiac. I don't think any one thing ultimately makes the difference, but together I think there's a catalyst that's being created, and it's been a pretty exciting time, despite the pandemic, right? For growth in downtown Pontiac specifically.
So can I ask you, you mentioned the medical marijuana facilities. I know that some people have been upset in Pontiac because more and more of the businesses have been sitting empty, the buildings rather, as these business owners were waiting to see if they were going to be granted one of the licenses. So where does that stand, and how does it work into your overall plan or vision for that downtown area?
It's no question that the buildings that were sitting empty was a harm to our growth. But so was the pandemic, right? And the licensing process was happening during the pandemic. And so I think we need to allow some grace from that perspective. The important thing is that licenses have been announced in downtown, and now it's just going through its process. And I know some folks are upset, but at the same time, if anything worth doing is worth doing right. And so even if it takes a little bit longer, even though it hurts some pockets, the important thing is the long-term success of downtown Pontiac, and I think we're starting to see it right now.
Hey, Vernita, I was in downtown Pontiac a couple weeks ago. I think they had the Art Jam, if that was the name of it. It really was a cool setting. How do you take all of these elements and put them together and make Pontiac cool again?
Well, I think what the goal is to keep adding to it and creating that excitement, continuing the momentum. And another initiative that we're taking on is the Pontiac Farmers Market. And so we had an event on June 27th. It was a preview. And it was so exciting. We had so many vendors and so much activity and excitement around just being able to bring some activity to Pontiac to close the gap with the community. And I think that's been our goal. We have considered Pontiac also a food desert for quite some time.
Yep.
And so having nutrition and those great avenues available and accessible and also affordable to Pontiac citizens has been a worthwhile journey. And so we're excited to announce more events coming up around the Pontiac Farmers Market to create that momentum and continue with what our efforts to bring the community together.
And Vernita, I'm glad that you mentioned the community. And so much attention was put on Detroit about not having grocery stores, but Pontiac didn't either. No one seemed to even mention Pontiac being a food desert as well. And to me, it was very parallel to what we saw in Detroit. So it's exciting to have the farmers market come back. But when we talk about community, I know that in Detroit, in them developing the downtown, a lot of the people in the neighborhoods felt they were ignored. How do we include the entire community in this effort?
Well, we take it to the community. We give them what they want, and we show them how to prepare foods, how to find foods that are affordable. And I think what we're planning to do in the future is have small pop-ups in every districting community that we have in Pontiac. So that's going to be key.
Daniela, if I can ask you as the treasurer and co-founder, what are some of the other things that you have on the agenda for the summer?
Yeah, so I highly recommend everybody come visit downtown just for an evening out. So hard work from all of the restaurants in the community and businesses was putting together the circuit. And the circuit is downtown Pontiac's social district. So most of our restaurants are participating, and they can actually stop by, grab a drink, and you can stroll with your beverage on the sidewalks and in the back alley, enjoy the art. And in that time, you can actually enjoy our program called Canvas Pontiac. We partner with the Detroit Institute of Art now for our 9th year. The program has been running, and it's an art competition that has grown from local artists to now world artists. We receive entries and submissions from as far away as Italy. And these end up being canvases that are printed on 8x10 large canvases and put throughout downtown with a walking map. And we encourage people to come and stroll our downtown, grab a beverage, grab some food, stroll and enjoy the art.
So that's so cool. And I will say, what's so sad about this is we're like so close to Pontiac, and we have people driving from our communities all the way to Detroit to be able to do some of the same things that are right here in our backyard. So with that, it seems like we have a lack of marketing. How do you guys attack the marketing? I don't know if maybe Chris, do you want to take that question?
Yeah. I mean, and Daniela, our executive team, Vernita, we've been talking about this, but it's kind of that third place concept, right? Where you have the first place for most people is their home. The second place is their workspace. The third place, as it is where everybody else gathers. And so downtown, Main Street Pontiac in this case, we're attempting to recreate that third place for folks in the community. But to your point, marketing is an issue where if we can, and we're in the process of developing a marketing plan as we speak, where we don't necessarily cannibalize marketing dollars individually, but collectively find ways to push a sense of healthy competition. Because if I'm a restaurant and I have an individual identity, and there's another restaurant that has another identity, by way of us inviting people by way of our marketing dollars to those folks, they're gonna innately go try everything else that might be in the downtown area, right? So we're actively working on a plan to make sure that we're marketing the entire downtown where it could help and impact all of the businesses at one time.
So can I ask you as well, when we're talking, what is happening with the Slows Barbecue, that spot?
That spot is no longer Slows Barbecue.
Did they is it a new restaurant? I thought they did such a cool job, though, especially how they went into the high school and repurposed some of the bleachers and items out of the schools, which back at that day they were, being illegally scrapped and demolished, and they did such a cool job with that. So what's there now? So
right now, it's a space that's available for any hip restaurant that's listening to the interview right now. Yeah, so you know, it was probably a little early. It was right before other things were starting to happen, and it's really hard to be the only thing necessarily that has the national attention that a Slows barbecue has, right? And so I think it may have been just a little bit early, a little bit before its time, but like I said, it's a space that's available for a thriving and a growing downtown now.
So with that, one last question, Vernita, how can people find out more about Main Street Pontiac?
Visit us at www.mainstreetpontiac.org, and we will lead you the rest of the way.
That's so great. Well, we appreciate all the work that your team is doing behind the scenes. It seems like for the first time there really is a plan of people from the community, the business owners, the business leaders, and activists coming together to really see Pontiac grow. And I think that's a great thing because we know hopefully with Amazon and M1 and, United Wholesale Mortgage, that means that this is going to be the backbone and the time for Pontiac to soar. So thank you all for your work and what you're doing to try to get it there.
Thank you.
Thank you.